Good morning, everyone, and here we are once again, back with Walk the Web. And yeah, I know you haven't seen me in a week or whatever it's been, and the reason is I'm a coder. I code every single day. But what I've been working on is actually some background stuff. So I'm trying to work on getting some of the key pieces in place behind the scenes so that it'll improve the forward scenes and the stuff that we can do with it. So, and of course, I'm not perfect at it, so I don't like to show some of the stuff I'm doing on there just so that, some of the tricks and stuff that I do for security aren't out there in the public. Also, knowing me, I'd type a few passwords in front of you or something and somebody catch on to it. So basically, I don't like to show that stuff online, when working on a server side of things too much. But of course, in the meantime, we've got a handful of servers. We have a handful of servers now in place that we didn't have just a couple weeks ago. We have a Nginx version of Linux running. Hey Eva, how you doing? And so we have an Nginx version of Linux running that is doing a streaming service so that in the future we're going to be able to stream right from here into a 3D scene. So working on that one. Then we've got another one that is our multiplayer stuff. And as you look, we can walk around the scenes and we've got some really cool multiplayer stuff. And that one's running Node.js with Socket.io JS services. I'm doing great, Eva. It's good to see you again. And admin, thank you for joining me. And let's see. So we've got those two servers. Then I added another server that is just a strict database server, and I'm moving off of Windows with that one. So databases are all moved over now. And I have another server that is a web server running Apache, and also we've done some Laravel stuff to do an OAuth service. We're working on creating a global login so that when you come to any Walk the Web site, you're going to be able to use your same login. That's also going to enable us to have some common things where you go to a different site, you always get your settings, so you don't have to keep on resetting them for how fast you walk and your graphics settings and all this other stuff. You'll automatically inherit those for every site you go to. It'll also include, by the time we're done with it, custom avatars and the ability to take your avatar anywhere you go so that you can visit a scene with one of your avatars. And I also want to, at the time, probably extend that so you can own more than one avatar. So like if a particular world likes humans, you can bring your human avatar into it. If you go to a medieval town, you can pick your medieval avatar. If you go to space, you can pick your space avatar. So we can have a couple different category things, fantasy worlds and all kinds of stuff. And then you'll be able to pick which one you want when you go to those different scenes. So pretty cool stuff that we're heading towards. We've got a handful of us that are all working on it. If you would like to join us and help code, we've got a number of projects underway. You can join in with some people that know what they're doing and can help you out. I'll be one of them, so definitely I got your back on anything you want to try. Sky's the limit. We do have a Trello board up there with different things that we're working on for bug fixes. You can be a tester and you can tell us what bugs you find. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do to help us out. And hey, nothing else, you can join us and watch and play and have fun when we're working in the different systems. But that's the kind of stuff we're doing. So we're creating scenes, we're creating stuff, and we're just jumping in here and doing whatever we can to keep on making it better and add functionality, add gaming technology, add all kinds of gaming components. We're going to do some 3D shopping here in the near future and all kinds of pieces that we keep throwing into the mix. So, welcome to join us at any time. You can always, if you don't see me here, you can always find me on Discord. Look for me there, and of course, join us in all the chats we have going on there. Okay, without further ado, let's jump right in. Let's go to some code and stuff. Now, today, the first thing that I've been requested to work on from admin here is we want to get this thing where I can actually, when we click on somebody, one of the things we have is we can open a chat. And then the other person can accept the chat. I'm sorry, I'm leaning over and accepting the chat from the second computer. And it moves you into chat mode. And basically, you can type and text and chat back and forth with the person. Well, what we want to do is we want to kind of make it a situation where when you click on them, first you get a menu of what you want to do about that person so that we can add additional functionality. For example, if you want to view their profile, if you want to private chat with them. That's what we have going already as default. But I want to give you a little selection list before it opens this piece so that you can say, I want to private message them, I want to read their profile, know more about them, I want to see, I want to report them or ban or block them or whatever we need to do in the future. We'll add all those kind of functions in there. But it's going to be an intermediate menu before you see this chat menu. So that's where I'm heading with this. Now, so we're going to start by replacing this chat down here when you click on it with a box that actually just interacts with that person so you know who they are and you can basically choose what you want to do after that. So let's interfere with what we've currently got going here and see what we can pull up. So first things first, jumping in the code, let's find out what we have going on here. First of all, this is happening within a plugin. It's the 3D Internet plugin that I'm creating. It has a lot of cool functionality that we're throwing in here, including it's going to be that global login stuff that we're talking about. We'll give this out for free and then have certain functions you can turn on, paid subscriptions in the future. We're not quite there yet, but for starters, everybody's going to be able to do the global logins for free on their servers. So, starting there. This chat functionality, I know I have my chat JavaScript right here. I have the main class, which is another little piece that's kind of part of it because when you pick on somebody, the on-click, it goes here and then it starts the chat. We're going to put a little medium step that shows something else first and then gives us this start chat as one of the options. So that's where we're heading. Okay, to do that, so it's mostly this one. I don't need the chat one per se yet. Okay, so from here, the first thing it's doing when you click on it, I guess I do need that. Start chat. Okay, let me bring my screens over to where I'm working. Next, there's the start chat function that it runs, and the first thing it does gives it a chat ID, get avatar display name, and then it adds a chat box with this particular stuff in it. And then it also shows the chat, sets a scroll for it. Okay, so the best thing I can do is to interject here. We're going to create a function first that we want to send it to that we can choose from there what other functions to do. So let's interrupt this particular process. Okay. I'm going to put it right next to this other thing. When I'm coding, a lot of the time I like to put the code right next to where I'm currently working, so if I need to bounce back and forth. And then later on, I'll go back through and say, okay, in the order of things, on-click, check hovers, and different things are kind of logically next to each other, and then I'll move this whole function afterwards. But in the meantime, right now, what I want is this will be open avatar selector? I don't even know what to call this thing. Any ideas? Open. How about avatar connect? Avatar connect menu or avatar. Yeah. I want to be careful I don't go too far off path with what I'm calling it. The other thing is, anytime I create a new name, a lot of the time I got to jump in here and just make sure I'm not duplicating a name. Actually, that's 3D Internet, so it's only going to be within this piece here, so I think I'm going to be good for the name. Nice. Okay, and I think it's just going through all this. I purposely, on my dev box where I'm actually running this code and making the changes, one of the things I do is I purposely do not put all my images or my animations and stuff in this directory because that search would take 10 times longer if I included it there. So now what I want to do is this part, I'm going to tell it when we click on something, I want to make it, instead of this piece here, I want to make it open a menu for that. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to take this right here, and it's going to be the response after the fact. So for now, I'm just going to remark that out. We'll come back to it because we still need this code. It's just not going to be in this place by the time I'm done. First thing is master chat can be off and we would still be able to do this function. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm passing in the exact same thing I did before because I will still need that when I do the next step. So I'm calling it pick name, but here I'm going to run this process. Now I'll pick up the different pieces that I need, which will be parts of, that's opening the chat, but I do need to show the menu that the chat would normally come out of. I normally would rename the chat menu and everything else, but because we're going to go to a heads-up display shortly, I don't want to go ahead and clutter it with a bunch of other stuff that we don't need at the moment. So I'm just going to, let's see, show internet chat form. I don't need to show that piece. I will set the scroll at some point here, and I'm going to be putting in some different stuff here. We will be adding some components to this particular piece, but I just want to make sure that when I click this, this box opens up. And then underneath it, we'll define what that does in another place. So, okay, so first things first, take this, get back down to content, plugins, 3D internet, scripts, and take the other side here. Use an FTP to get back and forth between the two. And plugins, 3D internet, scripts, and I'm going to move the chat and main scripts, upload those. And the first thing we should notice is that I get the box here, but without the actual chat going on the inside of it. So let's refresh that. I don't know if I'd need to refresh this screen over here or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. Since I got two players, I'll bring them both up online. And it's loading. I'm working on some different loading things. I'm actually changing around the loading sequence a little bit and stuff to make it friendly, especially with the global login. So that stuff's going to change up, but it's actually going to be a lot friendlier after we get it done. So, bear with me. Bear with me. It'll come together. And I love it seeing, I know that's got to be admin rocking around in the scene over there. But yeah. It's always good, always good. Everybody's welcome in the scenes. It's always cool. There he goes. No. Okay, so this is the one this is just my test dummy over here. Doing some testing. Oh, cool. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so when I click on him now, what did I miss? Plugins, 3D internet, scripts, okay. Avatar connect menu. Chat ID is not defined. Oops, what did I get? A chat ID? Chat ID. Oh, chat set scroll. Sorry, that one isn't needed there. I just need to show this box, which may be shown and completely hidden, right? Because there's nothing in it, right? Yeah, it's not even catching it here. It should. If it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be right around there. The chat box is this one right here. And right now it's showing visibility hidden. So it didn't do that step. Let me find out which step I missed here. This should have fired off. We didn't use pick name yet, but that's fine. Mold name parts are being passed. Okay, no problem. That's pick name by the time we get it there. I know what this one's going to be. It's going to be... Oh, is it internet chat form? Well, let's go find out which box we're talking about here. It would be in the class plugins file, and there are functions down here that show internet chat form. This piece right here is 3D internet chat form, which gets brought up from this, which is WTW menu chat. So if we did WTW menu chat min, oh, that's why. I need that box to show up. We won't worry about the min at the moment because that's something else. That's about minimizing that option over there. But we need the whole box to show up, and didn't that? That shows that extra button, which we can have at that time. Show internet chat form. I have a feeling that's the whole wrapped piece, I think. You know what? We're going to go ahead and just double check things by putting that in here. Let's see if it's that one, because I believe that step should have shown everything. So let's put that one in there, and now update that. I don't think I need to update both screens. I'll just update this one. Console. Then we have to add some buttons to it, so we'll throw some quick buttons in there and make it all come together. Okay, there's my anonymous guy standing there. Backing up so I don't run him over. It's loading. I'm going to also preload some things after I get this new loading process going, get the order in the right place. Then I'll do some preloading stuff. That'll speed things up. Okay, and I'm halfway into that person. Let's move around. There we go. Okay, so I have this one, and I click it, and that did not open down there. That or there's nothing in it, and it doesn't have any room to show. Let's find out where it's coming from. Show. There's no hides on that one, and there's no naming that anywhere. Okay, we're going to call it menu chat, and we're going to get this box open. I didn't think I'd need 3 tries to just get this going. I know I'm a little out of practice. Bear with me. It happens, right? Come on, play nice. All I want is one little box down there to open, and then I'll start shoving things in it. Okay, and I can click on it here. I don't even have to wait for it to continue loading. There it is. Okay, that's the chat box I'm looking for. And now we're going to change it. Looking at this, we should be able to come in here. That's the name of the box that it opened. So I'm going to call that. I'm going to call it Connect, just because that kind of is a little more vague. And then when we go into this internet chat form, that box, then what shows up inside it is right here. We have the class menu scroll, which helps us scroll through many different items when the box gets larger. So we do need to be inside of that area just so that we don't, well, if we add more menu items, it'll be a scrolling menu, that's all. And I'm going to kind of copy and paste that line. First thing I'm going to do is add chat send request. I'm going to start chat. I want to not break what we already had before I add other options to it. So I'm going to do start chat, and this one, now first I got to make sure. I've got a lot of names in here and a lot of different boxes and a lot of things, so I want to make sure that I have its own section here. Make sure I didn't duplicate a name. I think I need a box around this area so that I can turn off and on this box when something else comes in, because if you're already chatting with one person and you need to bring open the box to make a selection about somebody else, I think we're going to need a second layer here. So I'm going to do this, which will kind of give us a little bit of a design here. This will be, we'll call it Start Connect, and then we're going to create some buttons inside of it that will say Start Chat. For now, I'm going to go with, we can set a class, we can design the buttons here in a second. So Start Connect, I want to turn on Start Connect when I open this box so that it's visible. Otherwise, I want to make this section by default hidden, which if I scroll down just a couple lines here, I know I've typed that about 1,000,000 times. There it is. So let's use that line right here to set the style for hidden. And then when we do this, the first thing we're going to do is Start Connect. We're going to put that one in here. Same way we did this other piece. Just like that. Okay, so that'll turn on those two sections, and in this section we're going to make this a button that says private chat. Private implies a lot. Direct chat, then we don't have to we don't have to claim privacy. No, private chat kind of it is what it is. You are talking directly with the other person. Okay, and that will be, we're going to create this in a class of styles. Let's see, we do have a style sheet in here. If I'm not mistaken, our styles, yeah, see, they start with this because they're in this class. That way we know which plugin gave us the style. Okay. So we'll call this button. And I used a hyphen instead of an underscore. The IDs, I'll use underscores. Kind of my little notation to tell really quickly. So that when I look for one, I don't get the search results of the other. That's what that's all about, by the way. And this will be in our style sheet here. I don't think I have a button in here yet. Got a handful of things though. That stuff below, that's all remarked out for now, and I may or may not need to revive it, so I'll leave it this way. And I'm also going to do this hover, make it a different hover class. Okay, so to do this good, we're going to do font size, font size 1.2 EM. Font weight, bold, text, align, center, margin, padding, margin 10 px, that should do it. Padding 5px, may change that. What else do we want? Border 3px, solid. Let's just put blue for now. We can always recolor this stuff later. And border radius, oops, hyphen. Keep doing that. And we're going to set that for 15 px. We could do a drop shadow, which would make it even more. But you know what? Like I said, we're going to a hover thing anyway. So first thing we want to do when we hover is cursor is a pointer. It automatically goes back, so there's no need to actually set that back on anything else. And we'll make it go to green. And the other part would be color black. And we're going to make the color go to just to do it. Okay, so we got a couple things just identifying that the button is changing colors and doing something when we click on it. Now the other part, oops, before we go any farther is, if I come in here, we have the item, but then I need a function. Let's see, start chat. I need to set this instance ID someplace so that I can pull it on the next click. So when it gets picked, and we'll see I'm passing the pick name, but here start chat goes off of that, which is pick name goes mold name parts, which does that whole bit again. Easiest way would be, well, wait a minute, connect name, it's not pick name. I did that wrong. It is the instance ID. To instance ID, so it's the person we're talking to. That's who we're identifying here. The best way to do this would be to have a hidden field of a text field of who you're trying to contact right in, well, if there's multiple boxes, we're going to need multiple. Ooh, that is a dynamic thing, isn't it? You could have a different box for each person that you're connecting with. Like if two different people, if I click on this one and click on this one without answering the first one, you could potentially end up with more than one that you need to select with. So like if you clicked on two different people and then you wanted to talk with this one and check the properties of this one or compare properties of two different people, any of that kind of stuff should be allowed. I know, I'm just thinking ahead. This wasn't planned out. This is a in-process decision here. Okay, so then what I need here, Start Connect would be a section, and this particular button would be part of, oh, I noticed I had an extra div anyway. There's a div on the end of that, so I didn't need another div. It wasn't surrounding it anyway. Start Connect, and then in here, what I would do is I would take the var, let's see, form equals zform plus, I'm basically building the div that is going to have the information in it, and we're going to dump it to the screen by adding it to this piece here. That would be the ideal way of putting it in here. So I don't think I need to hide it then. Oh yeah, we would, because, well, no, that isn't going to have the border. I don't need to hide it. The okay, so Start Connect is the box. Oops, I forgot to copy it. Start connects a box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to put together something that I'm going to shove into the thing, and then I'm going to add it on the top for ease of use. Yeah, we need the user's name that we're trying to connect to, and then the different choices that you have. Yeah, good point, admin. Yeah, that's where I'm heading. Okay, so then this, well, HTML plus equals, and then we're going to add this Z form to it. We're only going to do that step and this stuff if we don't already have a box open for this particular thing. So let me, based on this instance, what we're going to do is we're going to create a box, a div around it. This div ID is going to be called, we'll call it 3D Internet, and or connect instance. Trying to make it where it's at least self-explanatory. Got kicked off the computer temporarily, so I can't give you what I'm envisioning, so bear with my low detail. No worries, keep with me. I can get a chunk of this in place, and then we can always, adapt it after that. So yeah, no, I appreciate the feedback though, thanks. And anything you can give, definitely welcome. Okay, so this will be the box that surrounds it, and what I need to do is I'm going to check, basically based on this, oh, actually it's not going to be connect instance, it's going to be connect, and then we're going to put this instance number here. That way we now have something we can work with that has this instance number as part of it. So if I take this, actually from there to there, and if D get this equals null, which means we're not already trying to talk with that person. So if you click it twice, it won't add it a second time. That's the goal in that little step there. Now we have this piece that we're creating. We will add this. And we'll have a way to close it afterwards, but let's first get it to open before we worry about closing it. Because we can close it by this particular name right here. So we'll work some stuff into that. We'll have to put a close button, the whole bit here now. But first thing I want to see is that this opens. Let me give it, we have a class already kind of for the chat windows that it starts. So let's see, add chat box. Where's add chat box? There it is. See, this is kind of the piece that I want to do. So this is the box. This is the div inside of it. I guess I could do it this way. See how I did it with the plus at the end of every line and just kept adding them together? That's kind of a better way to do it, I guess. Then I don't have all that stuff at the beginning of the sentence. If I do the box using this class, why didn't I make that the same one? Oh, because it has a margin around it. That's why. That's the box. This is the margin. Okay, I can do it. Let me do it this way. So instead of ending the line, we're going to do a plus at the end of the line and just keep chugging along with it. Here I can put that in there. We don't need the line breaks because that's just extra at this point. And I will need 2 of these. I could put them on the same line, but I'm just kind of looking at the indents here, just so I kind of keep it a little bit under control of where I'm at levels-wise. Okay, so this one lines up with that one, and then we have this level and this level. Okay, so by doing this, we should get some box drawn around one button at this particular point. Let's see if that, let's see if we get that far. It's checking the instance when it comes in to see if that's already there and puts this stuff in place. Now the good part is we can make that button work by using that instance and this function right here on this. Now the master chat, we could put that around this line to even know if we want the button to be on there, if the chat is turned on or not. So we may be splitting that up later anyway. But let's, for now, I'm going to do this piece. Do on click. I just want to make sure we can still activate the chat before we move on from there. So it's going to be something in this level with this ID right here in that box there. First of all, I need it to have quotes around it, and that's the instance. Okay, so now that should get us all the way through that point. So let's see how close I got it. And I do want to warn you that very rarely in my history of programming do I write something and it works the very first try. Usually it takes a little bit more than that, and I have to modify things and correct them and fix them and stuff. But it's been known to happen. The first thing we're going to do is see if we can't load this. I'm going to load the other one also just because we're doing it. I'll add the name in there and stuff. We'll add those pieces in there in a second, but you're right. We need the username so that if there's more than one person you're trying to communicate with, it actually takes that place in here and shows it and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely some pieces involved. Come on, finish loading. Well, I can even click on this top piece. And what did I mess up already? Cannot read property inner HTML of null. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I didn't push the other page out. That's why. That would explain it. I need in the functions. This is my plugin page. That one was needed. Let's get back to scripts as a default. So that's more than likely what I'm doing. Okay, so put that back on. I'm watching for errors on the multiplayer system too, so I'm watching the other computer. See if I do anything that triggers an error on their end. Just to make sure we get it all right. Okay, and here it comes. Let's see, clicking on this, I should get a menu. Okay, well, oh, I made black over black. That wasn't a very good thing to do, huh? But we do have a box. It does say connect, and when I click on it, uncaught syntax error, expected end of input. Okay, we'll figure that out. I probably messed something up with this quotes around everything, right? Probably needs, yeah, it's probably single quotes around the piece that I'm doing. What am I thinking? Because there's real quotes there, I need single quotes around this section, which would have made more sense anyway. So that'll fix that piece. And the other part is a style sheet issue. You can't have black on black, so we're going to make it white, and we're going to make it change colors to yellow, just to be bold and true. Okay, so now upload that file, go back a directory and upload that file. I could just stay at this level and just grab the whole folder every time I do it. That would probably make some sense. Well, there were no errors on the other screen, so I'm going to leave that one as is and let it float. Once we add one button, it'll be easy enough to add more buttons to do other things, but this will give us that intermediate positioning to add those buttons and different things in there. So that's kind of what I'm just leaving it for. Okay, we got that one. Private chat. Hey, now we can read it because it's actually in a better color for us. And it does have the hover over. That's all working. And if I click on it, there we go. Chat request is sent. Good, I didn't break anything. And it actually left that up there while I did it. So I need to make that disappear when you click on this particular item. That one should disappear. So let's do that piece next. In here. I need to make it actually destroy that object. I don't want to just get rid of it. I want to destroy that whole node when I get rid of it. I think I did something similar in this chat piece, because WTW chat box, close chat, remove child. Oh, that's really easy to do. Okay, I got the command right here. I like that. Okay, so over here, what I need is, we need to create one that says close the connect box. So we'll create this like this. Let's name it Avatar Connect. Just close Avatar Connect menu. It's about as self-explanatory as you can get. See, by naming things like this, I know it's longer letters, number of code, amount of code that I'm writing and stuff, but when you see Avatar Connect menu and then close Avatar Connect menu, I don't need a whole line of text as a remark telling you what it does. So that's kind of why I do it that way. Longer names, but at the same time, keeps it nice and clean. So then from here, I'm going to take this piece, copy it over here, and the whole thing that we need is, first of all, we added it to this piece. So if I change this one to this, and then remove child would be ID. Well, first of all, ID should be a lowercase, not uppercase. Yeah, I was doing lowercase on these. So take this instance ID and put that in here. And now that should remove the child from there, as whenever we go there, it takes the to instance. And now to call this, one of two things. First of all, I start the chat, which means I need to close. I'm going to close this window as I start the chat. So I'm going to put that right here. Close avatar menu. And that. And it passes, once again, that same value. And now we have a way of closing the menu right when we click on Start the Chat. So it'll drop one to do the other. Then how would you close a specific one if selecting multiple users? Well, see, each one has their own instance. So each one's going to pop up with their own box. The box around it, each has an instance. This Start Chat ID needs to also have the instance as part of it. So let me add that. Each one of these variables have the instance attached to it. So by doing that, we can grab this div right here and close it. This piece. I just renamed that, so let me rename it here too. Okay. And basically it's going to... Okay, so basically what's going to happen is, if this doesn't exist, if you clicked on the same person twice, you're only going to get one version of it, because I am checking to see if that instance get item is actually already there. Then over here, it has each box that has an ID, has the instance tied to it. And then when we close it, it is closing just that instance, because we kept the same instance on the name here and in the close avatar and if you're going to start a chat with somebody. So you've actually got it in all those places. So the second you click private chat, kills the box and starts the chat with the other person. So that should get us there. And let's see, what all did I change? Okay, so take styles, scripts, and functions. It's not that much there. I'll just take all three. WTW show plus instance ID. Yes, the show, yeah, we can do it that way. Well, actually, I'm building the whole box when I show it. I could do it on hide, but we're actually not hiding it. We're destroying it, so the remove child gets rid of it altogether instead of just hiding it. But on the show, it actually is creating it on the fly and appending it to this start connect object right here. So any others that we add in there would be another box within that same start connect div tag. So we're looking in that tag, looking for a child named this, and killing it if it exists. Okay, let's see now. From there, let's do a quick double check on that. Now we should get rid of that private chat piece while we double check this. So we should get rid of that one piece. But yeah, you see where I'm going. And then we can add more buttons to this, and each one would be instance specific. Now I also have the name readily handy, so I'll show you where that is in a second. Remember that each avatar uses their, when it's drawn on your scene, it uses that same instance ID. So this avatar right here is actually that instance ID. And I can even tell between different anonymous because each one has their own instance ID. But that's per instance that you run. So if you brought it up in two different browsers, you're going to get two different instances. One of the things I can do that I'll fix in the future is that if you have two of the same instances, I'll make sure that if you move one on one screen, it moves in the other screen, just so you can kind of watch yourself walk around if you wanted to. Okay, so connect. We say private chat. It sends out the chat, and we killed the extra button there. So that works perfectly. I can accept the chat, and we're off and chatting. And I can type in this other screen. And it works back and forth. Okay, so our chat is up and running, and we do have that. If I close this box, it's gone. And, of course, we can restart it. That doesn't resize the box. See, that's the chat scroll that I was talking about. Now that we changed that around, I should be able to check the scroll. See, it's this set chat. Oh, it's the chat ID. That's why I didn't do it earlier. Because the chat didn't start yet. What did I do in there? Let me see what I did in here. That was because I was scroll top with that box. And I set focus on that particular item. Oh, I get it. Okay, so if I do these steps right here, there's a reason for doing this piece. If I do this, we can have it focus in the right place as you're using it. So that isn't a bad thing. But when you create one and add it in here, I need to make sure that it, see, we have show settings menu, menu chat. So that'll take care of that line. There's a little extra for this particular function about the menu. So that's all fine. This, instead of saying chat text, I'm going to make that the Internet Connect instance here. So if I changed this, I'm thinking scroll top should get me to the right place on that line, which also refreshes my... Wait a minute. Oh, I see what I did. Hold on, let me show you. In this section, there's a menu chat scroll. Is that the one? No, I didn't use that one there. By setting the scroll height to that, what was I doing? That isn't going to work here. Sorry about that. Well, we could give it a shot. That would be this item here. And if that scroll height thing does and triggers like I want, we don't need set focus. That was for typing into a box, so we don't need that piece. But if I do this little scroll top thing, it's a little trick to forcing it to resize the box. Let me see if it works. I don't know if it's going to work in this particular instance, but it's worth a try. Because the other part is, if it does work, what I should be doing is checking it at this point, because if there's nothing left showing in the box, we should close the whole box. So there's a little extra piece here. Well, yeah. Hey, welcome back, admin. Yeah, so what I'm thinking right now is when I close this, so it removes the child item of that. How do I detect if there's any more chats going? See, when I set chat scroll as one thing, when I close a chat, what did I do? Close menus. So I'm checking the child nodes of that, and I'm looking to see, well, that's closing them all. Okay, so if chat send requests inner HTML ends up blank at some point, then I hide the chat box altogether. That's the piece that I need. Okay, so when I close off this one item, if there's nothing left, then I need to close the chat box. Now, the trick about that one is over here, I'm closing this box and then I'm opening the chat afterwards, start chat. I think I need to reverse those so that it doesn't show it empty because it's already started the chat. There's no reason for the box to close and then reopen. If I do them in this order, it's actually better. Okay, so now if there's nothing left in the box, it'll close the box. So like if I just canceled out of this thing and there's nothing there, it would know to kill it. Now I can add over here, we have this box around this. I can add we need to add a menu bar towards the top of it that gives you the name of the person that we're talking about, which is admin's idea there, and also an X to be able to X out and close off the box. So let me first, let's make sure that I didn't break everything while I just did that last piece. That should be able to close out the box when there's nothing else there. Well, we don't have a way of closing it before doing everything else. I don't think I broke it. I think we're actually off and running. Resize this thing would be helpful. I want it to make it only go as high as it needs to. The other pieces, I'll have more buttons than just the one. So there'll be some more items in there. We're going to add features for block the user eventually, and we'll also have like profile and stuff. So we'll add those features in there, but now that I have the box, now it's easy to add things to it. And by the way, when I'm done, admin, I'll give you a copy of this plugin so that you have that extra features in there. Then you'll be able to code against that and add some more functions to what we're checking on people and stuff. Okay. And we have this one here. And when I click on it, private chat, we can do the chat. And see, that's extra space there. Oh, because it opened the chat and didn't resize the box without it in there. See, that's the give or take about the two different items. No, I don't like that. that's not going to do it right. I need this one to run last. Okay, I'm just going to reverse the order of those two. Just did it back, paste on that. It's a functionality thing. See, now when I do it, it should do it following. Well, see, the closing should have closed the freaking box. Should have resized that based on what's in it. Yeah. It's always a trick in this stuff. When it removes something from a box, sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, something along the way made it automatically stay open to a certain level, and then you remove something out of it and it doesn't resize the box. So something is pinning the size of the box. And once it does that, I think it's because of the scroll bar. Because it does develop a scroll at a certain time, you have to tell it how high you want the box to start the scroll. But then you want it to be just a regular box without the scroll bar until it gets too big. So, but you know what? That whole section there is going to be done away with, because when I go to a heads-up display, that's all gone. So, yeah, click the X in the box, the buttons stay. Oh, thank you. Okay, let me check that. We'll fix that one. So when we click the X on the box, the buttons stay. Let me make sure I'm working with my latest version here. So that is the one I'm guessing you mean. So let me refresh this and do. That's not a hard fix. That's just making sure when I close the box that I'm including anything that starts with this particular name that's inside. Actually, for all children, yeah, I can fix that close box function. Right now, the close box is on the chat page, and it cycles through, checks for all objects, and destroys each one that's underneath it. So if you close all, you're actually closing out, you're actually answering each one of them, saying, I'm not doing it right now, or whatever. So in this particular case, okay, I've got this, and when I close this, oh, it does close it all. Oh, you're talking about when I bring it back open or something? It's, well, would it be the same one if I... Okay, and I'm getting two of them, so that's actually good. And there are two of them, and they treat them separately, so that's a good sign. Okay. Let's left the chat. Okay, no worries. I see how it is. No. Okay, so I don't know. It is closing. Maybe it was just a refresh issue from where I was doing it. But it does close out of there, but it does not destroy it. So we're going to make sure that it destroys each one of these Internet Connect instances. So I'm going to go to the chat. This would be close menus. Chat equals child nodes of that, and goes through each one of them and closes that particular chat. That one gives you a notification, but we don't need to do that because when you close the chat, it says you left the chat. In our particular case, it actually does not need to do anything because you clicked on them, but you haven't initiated the chat yet. So it's still kind of a look and see. The other person doesn't even have to know you clicked on it. So there's no notifications going on for that. So all I need to do at this point is if I set the start connect back to blank, then basically every child node underneath it is gone. So the easiest fix would be when I do close menus, first of all, if it's menu chat, which is the menu we're talking about. So if I say this equals this, we just killed off any start connect feed, and when you come back into it and open it again, they won't already be there because they've been erased. So that would allow that close to take care of it for you. Okay, so that will kill those. The other part then is, like I said, we want to add something right here that is kind of a header on that section, and I don't know what I want to decorate it as, but we'll do something with it. So in this section we're going to have two things. The first thing is going to be an X out on the far right. which I can grab from here. This right here, close chat. This is the image little thing that I wanted to do. Since we already have one defined, I'm not going to redo it. That's saying close chat. We're not doing that. We'll do our own function. But I'm going to put that here. And instead of close chat, we're going to do close avatar menu. I don't even hear it. So then I'll pass this instance into it. And we only have one property. Take that one out. And now we have a highlighting, and it does that particular function. That's off to the right. That's got a right float right on it for the design. So then after that piece right here, I'm going to do a plus like this only because I want to bring this to another line. And then on this line, I want it to, this will be where we put the actual name. We can decorate it any way we like. I can get rid of some of these lines afterwards, but right now it kind of helps us separate the different items that we're putting in here. And if we need to add or remove anything as we go, it makes it real easy to find the different pieces. So this one, you know what? I don't even need this one to be selectable or anything. I could put an ID on there in case you need to grab it for something. But from the instance, one of the things we have is, okay, start chat. From the instance, I know start chat had it. So start chat did display name by the instance. I have a function already created that does that. So we're going to use that function right here. And now we have the display name. We'll put that instance in there. By the way, the display name is actually coming from the avatar. So when you take the instance, I grab the original avatar. It has an object with it, which actually has a name field that we pull from it. If you check out that I might as well show you real quick. Avatar get display name. Let me see if it's not far. Oh, where is it? Oh, I put it in my code. It's in the core. No, it's 3D Internet. Should be in this page. It's in this page. So get avatar display name is right here. Okay, what I did was I take the avatar by name, I bring it open, then it has a WTW, which is the object model underneath it of all of our settings that we add to an avatar. Then from there, one of the items is display name. We check it, see if it exists. If it does, we pull that name. That's how we do it. Easy enough. Now that we have the display name, all I have to do is shove that in right here. We'll add some styles to this because we want some class to wrap the header, which I think we already did one on this piece. So let me see, where is it? Right here we have a header, which is chatbox shadow. No, that's the whole thing. Display name, ID, how funny. Class, chat display name. We'll go with that one for now, till we decide something better. That sounds good to me. I don't think there's a particular header wrapped around this. Maybe that's all I need. Okay, go here and take it there. That may be all I need. In fact, I may not need that div around it. From the looks of things, I did it this way on the last one, which means it has its own properties to be able to do what it needs to do. So then I should be able to do that, and it should work. Let's give this a shot and see what we have here. Okay, a couple pieces there, and now, of course, it's, you know, the fact that we're clicking on something to find out the name of somebody called Anonymous. Okay. The irony there, right? But when you have more than one person logged in, then it'll make a difference. And speaking of which, once I do the global logins, then we're going to have that where you log in, and no matter what site you go to, you can use your global logins. That's the goal. That's what I'm working on another side. I'll show you some of the stuff I was doing there in just a little bit, maybe. I know I say maybe. Tease you like that, right? Okay, so we have anonymous, and I click on it, and it says anonymous here. That's off. What did I do different between this chat? Close right, minimize, display name is a separate div. Well, I can understand one part making sure that this next piece underneath it, this part doesn't, does a clear all. I could do a clear all, which would kill some of that. But we do have a little bit of an off-center piece here. Leave chat. Oh, I still have it saying leave chat. Let me fix that too. I could just say close. Okay. Close on those items, and that'll take care of that. Yep. And that's not that big of a deal, but why is that off-centered when it's the same code that worked the last time? What am I doing different? The image closes out there, no problem. This div is complete. Div start and end. That div goes to there. This one has one on the end. Okay. Well, there's another way to do this. And if I just say style equals, for now, we'll figure it out. Clear both would at least make it underneath, or make it pass through both of them. I want to see what's the difference. Why is it happening on one? Oh, because there's a padding from this box that is given to that class right here, I bet. So let me see what happens if I apply this class to the wrapper. That's probably going to fix it because it'll be the same style as the other box. Yeah, let's find out. Because it doesn't look like I wrapped a box around it. See, if you look, there's no box around this piece. There's a box around this. I need the box to be around this piece, so I think that one is a mistake. These need to be inside that box. Wait a minute, is that... I'm losing it. Where is it at? Yeah, I should have a shadow box around that. Chat box shadow. This is not where the chat box shadow goes. The shadow box is around the whole thing. That's the way I did this other one. I don't need to max and minimize this one because we're doing something different here. This is pretty much a max min job anyway. Okay, let's put it back out there and refresh this. I think we might have it wrapped right now by moving that class to the outer side. Now the anonymous word should be on the inside of it, and it should give us a little bit of padding just right, and we should get the things in the right order. So let me see if that does what we expect. And I don't have to wait for the whole thing to load. All I have to do is click on that word because that's part of that. Now we have anonymous. Now we have the chat lined up. That's in the right place. We have the private chat underneath. Okay, so Anonymous, boom. Close button there. This close button work? Yes, it does. That's a good sign. Okay, we can bring it back open, and that actually recreated it. It actually probably destroyed it and recreated it. Then this one here clears both too, so we're good on those items. And if I click private chat, yes, it popped up on my other screen. So we're good with that. If I close this, it notified, or did it? I didn't refresh that screen, so it didn't know. Okay. But we're here, and private chat, it pops right up. I close this one. Oh, it's not notifying leave the chat. It should have caught that. I think it's... Yeah, it should be the same instance. Should be everything the same. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, walking around. That should be that. I don't know. Should have caught that when it's accepting and waiting. Okay. Well, that's a different issue. I'm not going to go after that one at this moment. But we do have this, so now that works. We came up with a list. All we have to do now to add additional items to this is this line right here where we have the start chat. Actually, we don't even need those two wrappers because they're not doing anything. Okay, so we have this line right here that does the start chat. We could add additional buttons for whatever functions we want. So if we want then one that says profile, or block this user, or mute user so that you don't accept any more chat requests from them, we could add all that functionality basically right here, and that'll start the whole thing. Now now that we have that in place, the next idea would be to go ahead and do the heads-up display. You get this stuff where if you click on somebody, I think ideally, if I click on this person right here, I'd like to see it above their head who they are, or hey, I want to chat with them, or whatever. I think that's what we're aiming for. I think that would be ideal because then it would be right above the person. Now, of course, if they're running off, you're not going to be able to click and chat with them as they're running away. So it won't be as easy to catch up with them or to do anything about that. Maybe even if they ran a certain distance away from you, then the chat request disappears off the head. I don't know. We'll have to play around with some possible ideas of how we want to display. But instead of down here, we already know it's anonymous. I'd just like to see a button show up that you can click on that say, private chat or whatever right above their head. I think that's what I'm envisioning. What do you guys think? Is that what you would want to be able to do? If you click on somebody, should it be right in the scene, right where it says anonymous, should say chat, or even above their heads? I don't know. Max click distance, especially for selecting a user. Yeah, I agree. In fact, I want to make it where if they go too far away, they actually disappear. Because right now, if somebody walked like all the way on top of that hill over there, you would still see them in your scene. So I haven't put any closing things yet, any restraints on that. That's one of the pieces I need to code. But I want to make it where the avatar disappears if they're too far away, so that it leaves room for ones that are closer to you. Or, like I've seen times where the building disappears because it's not in my scene, but there's a user hanging out in the sky because the user is in the building that just disappeared because I'm showing users from too far away. So it's one thing to look around a scene and say, hey, there's somebody on that road right over there, and run over towards them. That's all fine. But when it starts going into things that don't exist, they need to disappear with the item that's not there in your scene yet. Maybe some intelligent work on that. Maybe your closest building ends up being something that isn't even showing on my scene. I don't know. We'll have to play around with those settings and see what works. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. So that brings up that. Now we bring up the whole idea of the heads-up display. The goal in the long run is to get rid of this stuff on the bottom for the most part. The information still be available. So like if I want to see what scene I'm in and what building I'm closest to at any one point in time, then see like as I walk over to here, notice as I get closest to the center of that building, WalkTheWeb Club shows up. So it's letting me know which is the closest building by distance. Make the view distance globe thing you made have collision too, because with the infinite click distance, I can click non-existent users, the envelope ones. Oh. Make the view distance globe. Oh, yeah. Right, right. We can turn off the click altogether so that you can't click on anything too far away. Right, right. Infinite click distance. Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. You're right. You're right. It'd be a lot better to, not do that. Yeah. Well, also, if somebody runs away while they're chatting, I don't know. Do you want to, at a certain distance, we erase the chat too that they left because they physically aren't anywhere near you? So there's some options here that we could do. We could get some feedback on that. We could do some different things. There's definitely different ideas. Did I lose my background music? I don't even know if you guys could hear it. Oh yeah, it's here. It's very faint right now, so yeah, maybe you'll catch it in a minute. It's not even registering on desktop audio yet. So it's between songs. Okay, so let's talk about this. So when I click on this person, for example, right now, click to chat. I'll change that to click to select or whatever. That's fine. But when I click on them, it should open up the options. Should it be in front of them? So I'm like facing them and I click the options right in front of them? Should it? Yeah, because then it doesn't go off the top of the screen. I don't want it too high. But maybe your direction, facing you, whatever. But yeah, it should be able to pop up the menu right over that player so that if I click this one and click another player, each one has their menu right in front of them. That would be in scene, in game. How would it? Let's see, I can do that. Trying to think of creating the buttons in a way they're clickable but in the game. Well, see, that's not necessarily heads-up display because that sticks with the avatar, and that's actually just more meshes in the scene connected to that particular avatar in your scene. So that's a different story per se. When I bring up heads-up display, for me, it's going to cover my scene and talking about options I get. So let's start there and work our way down to the different options for different things. I know I clicked on somebody. But yeah, so let's go ahead and start there. The first thing I have is this. Hey, admin. Okay, so just thinking about it. When I bring up a heads-up display, I want to get certain menu options. So I need it to pop up and I need it to be around my avatar, but maybe off to the sides of my avatar I'm moving so that it's not technically right in front of me unless there are options that need to be. We could actually have it be different GUIs based on what mode you're in, because if you're in first player, like if I'm sitting here and I change my camera view to first person, now I'm in this view. When I do a heads-up display, it should be right in front of my face. It should be my heads-up display centered to me. Okay, YouTube, what div menu chat, top 50%, left 50%, bottom 50%, height, fit, content, transform, translate, -50, position, absolute. Okay, we can play around with that. I'm going to copy and paste that into my notes here. Do. Come on, wake up, computer. I'll play around with that. Yeah, that sounds good though. No, I like absolute position. I'm not so, but that fit content part, the height fit content. I haven't used that, and that's probably the one line out of that. I mean, that I need more than anything else. But I remove bottom on my version. Oh, okay. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, because I'm kind of lining up to the top of this menu bar. But we're going to get rid of the menu bar altogether. But yeah, I get what you're going. Just change the left value. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, but see, okay, so so I'm thinking there might be different heads-up displays based on the different view that we're going with. So I'm going to start with the follow camera just for now, just because I've been using that a lot in what I'm doing. You know, I know, you just flew away. We're going to have to name you Neo. Matrix reference, yeah. Okay, so moving on here. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, so heads-up display. I want to be able to generate a heads-up display and throw different items into it so that I can say, hey, like when, and I'm going to activate, let's say I click my own player. When I click my own player, I want my heads-up display to come on when I'm in this mode. So I'm going to trigger the follow mode heads-up display based on what I'm doing right here. And I want to anchor it to my character so that it always stays like a 3D view around my character. So if I click on him, then I can say, hey, my profile, or my weapons, or my tools that I have, or different things that I'm carrying, or whatever. I'll be able to just check my skill levels, or my rank, or whatever. Hey, Eva, how you doing? So yeah, so I'm thinking when I click this, I should be able to open up a heads-up display of the items around me. Now, I did some searching and I was playing around with a couple things. I found this. I'll just drop it into this right now. Okay, so this particular one uses these little buttons. We can draw our own, we can create our own buttons, but I like the concept. Those aren't going to be the buttons we do. But you notice how they are circular around something. Now they're turning it based on spinning around this particular object. That's the camera view that they're using. We don't have to do that. What I can do is I can take, first of all, using this code, Skybox tenure, panel. Panel is a GUI cylinder panel. Margin 0.75, that gets us away from the edge, which we can keep it something in there. We'll have some type of thing. Panel margin. And add control panel to the manager. Manager is a Babio 3D manager scene. Okay, this is what I want. So let's first start with if I click on my own user. Let me think of where I'm putting this, because this is not a 3D option. I'm talking about, I know, you're standing with right inside of the other person. I can set those boundaries where you can't do that. I really didn't want one person to be able to block another person from walking around at this point in time, but I know we probably need to fix that. So let's see, what do we have here? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to generate this. I'm just going to make it pop up something on the screen for now, and then we'll work on the buttons and see what we can do about it. But I want to get this in the right place. When I click on my own character, it's actually part of my own stuff. So I think the proper place for this would be in our Prime scripts. No, avatar scripts, wouldn't it? Just thinking this out. If I put it in the avatar, create another script in here, because it's gonna be per, if you click on the avatar or if you, yeah. Okay, YouTube, hey, thanks for showing up and thanks for hanging out with us for a while there. No problem. Hey, if you make it back, you can, no worries either way, and I'm gonna keep on chugging on this. See if we can't do some stuff with this heads-up display. I just want to kind of try to get the basics in place here. The concept is this. Take this idea and make it a row of buttons on the left and a row of buttons on the right of my avatar so that I can have things to select here and here when I click my avatar. That's the first step in what I'm going to try to do. So to do that, yeah. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Be in the chat, but no additions to code. No worries. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so, see, that's one of those little bug things. When you left, it did not kill off your avatar in my scene. So your avatar is actually walking in place because that was the last animation it was doing when it died. See, that's one of the little bug things I got to fix, but I'm not worried about it at the moment. We're worried about graceful leaving when we get enough people in to bother with, right? No. We'll keep on building. Okay, so for doing this stuff, what I want to do is I think I'm going to create a separate file for heads-up display. See, we have one for cameras in the Prime. I think heads-up display kind of falls under that category. So I think I'm going to create a new file in here. If I just rename it, let's see, we're going to call this one, let's get it to the right place. Core scripts Prime, and I think I'm going to name it WTW HUD.js. I want to keep it all in one place so that if anybody wants to manipulate the heads-up display or do something with it, it's easy to find. So I thought the best bet for that would be to separate it into its own file and then add it to the course. So we're going to take that, and I'm going to go into, in the functions, the init session one. There's a section in here, and it's actually not that hard to find because of its formatting. When you scroll down through here about that far, you see the section and it has scripts. There's a whole list of scripts. There's the browsing ones, and then there's there's a version of it for just, well, actually it's in another file, for the admin scripts. In our case, we're going to take this here, and we loaded the cameras right there. I'm going to add another line that loads the heads-up displays. So I'm just going to put HUD for heads-up display. Now that file is being loaded every time we do something, and it's in place. So now that we've attached it, we can start playing around with what this file actually has in it, create some functions, and see if we can't, well, see what we can do. First thing is I want onClick to load a heads-up display. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to get the format so that I keep with my same format on everything else that I do. And I'm going to take this out of here because we don't need the content of that function. And also, Prime, it's not common, it is HUD. And now this function is going to be called open HUD. I'm going to say open HUD follow, because if you're in a follow camera view, then basically the HUD follow would be the one that goes more off to the sides. If we say open HUD first person, then it would be right in front of you. Here's my menu that I'm going to choose from and stuff. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a different feel depending on which view you're looking at. So that's kind of the concept of where I'm heading with this. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we are going to make it something very simple just to make sure we get all these pieces in place. I'm just going to do console log open HUD just so we know it happens, and then I'm going to take this piece, and what we need to do is we need to integrate that into our clicked items and know if it's the on-click. Okay, so let me track down where the on-click thing is. When we go to this and we go to mouse down right here, picked results, that's not it. It's not mouse. There's a mouse down, but then there's also mouse click. We're going to do the click. Mouse key press add. Nope. Back up a little here. It is mouse right. Here's the mouse click. Okay. And when we click on something, first of all, we get the picked name, and then we send it to if setup mode equals 0. So that means we're no longer in setup mode. That's fine. I can deal with that for now. Check mold event on click, plugins on click. It's going to be this check mold on click. Find in files. It's going to be in our common file. And here it is. Okay, so in this file, right now we are checking. Oh, I did it through the plugin to see if we were checking, if we were clicking on something else. Okay, so if we click our own character, if mold event equals mold event, no, we're not doing that. Click event is on click. Okay, that's something else I was doing. This part here is actually JavaScript. Before the kicking off oneness, okay, I was working on a report feature, though I have completed a band PHP script if that's what you need. Oh, nice. Nice. Yes, there are going to be places where we need that. And then there's going to be other places, like if somebody creates a plugin that it needs to go through. One of the pieces that we will need is we're going to need some way of scrubbing and checking plugins when somebody submits one to us to be part of the official library of downloadable plugins that people can add to their systems that we've approved. So then it's just forward. Okay, keep on tasking my brain. Okay, so this is turning on animations and everything else for what it's doing. If mold event equals on click, we are telling it to what we want to do based on what you clicked on. So what I want to see is if. Okay, so if mold name, if mold name index of, and I'm going to pick something here in a second, is greater than -1, then I'm going to do WTW this event, and I'm going to pass, I don't need the mold name because I know it's my item that I'm clicking on. So this would be my avatar. The only one thing in the scene that is my avatar and all the parts that are part of my avatar. So that right there kind of catches you there, and you would open the heads up display follow based on clicking on that. Okay, now what all did I change? I changed, let's get out of this section and go into core. First of all, functions, I added the script to here. So I need to upload that. Then I added in scripts. I added the script to the prime, is where we're working, and it is right there. Now it's on the server. Okay, that should get us the script in place. And the common was the one that I just updated. Let's see how I did. Just want to make sure that when I click on my own thing, it actually comes up. So let's see. How do I test dev work when I Google Forms and Sheets, because I just evolve the code to my needs and do testing? We'll deal with the final location later, though we do need a SQL table for what we were talking about before. Yeah. But the banning runs off SQL. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can definitely add a table in there. And notice that when you come into your code, if you go into the functions folder, core functions, there's a WTW tables, class WTW tables. You can define your table in here, use this delta create, and do your definition of your table. Add in the table prefix so that it adapts to whatever their install uses as a table prefix. That's just so one database can hold multiple instances of tables. That's all that has to do with. But make sure you mark those in there. You can do the, in SQL, MySQL, you can actually tell it to give you the create statement. So it will print this out. We're using the statement as is with the addition of this table prefix piece. Then after you've done that, if you put it in this delta create table, all we have to do on our side is in the niche session, if I increment, I'll go back to the top here, if I increment this DB version and say there's a change here and it doesn't match up, it'll automatically run that process and double check and add the table for you into each person's database. So it's that simple to add a table. do it through that way, and it's ready to go for actual launch. So that's how I create tables into everybody's apps. Okay, so we have this, which I didn't change anything there. I just used the function that we found, which actually is here. We tell it, if you click on my avatar, it's open heads-up display. I just reloaded the scene, and when I click, guess what? Open heads-up display. Yay! And it's different than this one. That did not trigger it. Or if I click something over here, none of this stuff triggers it. Only if I trick on my own, then I get open heads-up display. Nice. Okay. Oh, okay, so what do we got? Oh, yeah, popping. Eva, you keep popping in and out, I know. Just multitasking. Nice, nice. See, that's a programmer trait. I keep telling you, Eva, you're a programmer. Just got to have a little confidence. You can write anything. I want you to build your dragon. I want you to make an animated dragon that we're going to put inside that building. So yeah. So you need to... You laugh. It's true. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can make an animated dragon. I know you can put it together. I know you can come up with it. If you say can't, then you can't. But if you say, I'll try, you'll eventually get there. Now, I'm not paying you to do that. Come on, Eva. I'm encouraging you. I'll pay you with compliments if you do it. Rest in peace. Come on, Eva. I know you can do it. You care about dragons. I've seen you create code. I've seen you write code. I've seen you work on your own game. I know you can. So you can try. That's what it takes. Just try. Just start somewhere. Try. Start simple. Maybe a dragon egg. That's a lot easier to create in Blender. No, just go from there. Just go from there. Start simple and keep on evolving. You can do it. I know you can. Anybody that wants to can do it. I know you're working on your own game in Game Guru. See, I know you are. So I know you can do some coding. I know you think like we do. You're one of us. Okay, so my next step is to end this class. So now that I've separated that into its own file, I've got heads-up display, and I told it here, I clicked on my own avatar. So now we have a trigger event that I can use to actually create something with, okay? So the first thing I'm going to create from here is I'm going to create, I'll do this as global later. I just want to see it work first. So I'm starting with creating the heads-up display. We need a manager, 3D manager. We need a panel, manager add control, link to transform node anchor. What's anchor? Babylon transform node. Huh. Haven't tried that one yet. I wonder, is it used anywhere else? Okay. The great thing about doing things in here is I can remark out something, say yes on this, and see, hey, everything still works. So I'm not sure what the transform node is. Buttons still push. The thing still moves around. Don't know exactly what that had to do with anything. Okay, and if I change this to 0.5, I want to see if it goes bigger. Yeah, that didn't change. Did it get smaller? Panel margin 1. Was that giving it the gap here in between? I don't know what it was doing. 0.5. Oh, see, it opened up the gap on this side. Okay, panel margin is that. That's good to know. Because if I put it to 0.25, huh, it's like half a circle. Interesting. Okay, so if I put it to 0.15, now it's part of the arch. Okay, well, it's good to know. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a panel, switch it to that, add the manager to it, and I'm not going to set the panel position yet. I can attach it to my avatar. That would be a good thing, because then it would move with me. So we'll get to those steps. First of all, the panel by itself, I don't think it's actually going to show anything on the screen, because the panel itself doesn't do anything. The panel is just the panel. We're not even seeing it. We add control to the manager. Whatever happened to the square 3D heads-up display? Oh, there's more than one. There's more than one. I'm just looking at different options for different things. But there actually is... Let's see, I've got it over here. We have a couple different types. In here... See, this one's the 3D display, and this one takes us through either a sphere type or cylinder, which is the one I'm using right now, or I'm going to use. And then there's a planar one, which gives you a flat plane in front of you. So you could do something like that pretty easy with the 3D heads-up display. And then there's a whole section on... Yeah, this one doesn't have any pretty pictures. There's a whole section here on GUIs that basically you can create any GUI for doing anything. Basic events, positions, tracking positions, rotation, scaling, controls. And notice how it has all these controls. It's just like a form feed, so we can actually use all the different form pieces in there. This stuff is very... The squared wall, yeah. That's what you were thinking of, squared wall. Well, see, my idea is this. When you're in 3D mode, when I'm looking in this mode, when I click on this, what I want is two panels on an angle off to the sides like this that are like 3D look, but they'll be following me around anywhere I turn my player. So I'm always looking at those two panels off to the sides of my character. So it doesn't interfere with my character, but it gives me options off to the side. That's kind of what I'm heading for right now with the menu options. When I go to the first-person camera, for example, then I want to do a square one right in the middle of our face, and it's right there. That's what we're working with. So it'll kind of be based on your camera view as to which heads-up display come up. This one, I'm going to click on him to get it up. The other one, we're going to have to figure out what we want to do to trigger it to turn it on, because obviously you're not in your own scene at that point. But maybe we'll just have a little floating button underneath that just says menu, click, and you just bring it up. So we'll make it as innovative as possible. We're going to try to really integrate it into the program so that we're not running all these extra menus outside of the program. See, all this functionality that we have in here, we're going to move to the heads-up display. So that's the goal. Little by little, we'll do some pieces at a time. But for starters, I just want to play around with the heads-up display and see if, see what we can do with it. 2D variant of all for low-quality users with bad specs. Well, you got to remember, they're either going to be able to use the system or they're not. There's going to be some other limitations, such as the multiplayer is going to really bog them down if they don't have, at least decent internet or something. Some of the download speeds. There's a whole bunch of things that go into that one right there. And it's true. You're right. There's going to need to be some low graphic version so it doesn't suck up any more use. But remember, these are designed in the scene, so it's actually rendering just like your scene does. That's why it comes from Babylon, because it's a GUI in Babylon. We're actually drawing it as part of the scene. It's not a layer outside of the canvas anymore. It's actually a layer in the canvas. So just like the other things that we draw inside the scene, this is something we're drawing, in here too. So we'll get it. We'll get it. One little micro step at a time. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is... So they set a position, which I'll get the position here in a minute, but because I'm going to parent it to my avatar and then make some adjustments on that. But I first need to put something in it just to get it to load. Do I parent the manager or do I parent the GUID, the panel? The panel goes there for positioning. I'm thinking it's one manager And in the manager, you can have multiple panels of different things for different things, as you go over to everything else. That may help us with the way we want to control it. Okay, so they import mesh. They're grabbing this particular button right here, and then they're putting on, let's say, screen loader, push button core, clone, push button, index. Okay, there's some stuff they're doing here with it. I'm not as concerned with that piece just yet. See, they name it outside the object, which I don't want to do either. So there's some things I'll do with that. We'll get to the naming and everything else later on. But you know something? I'm going to get my coffee cup refilled and take a couple minute break, and then I will be right back. So
we go about our daily lives understanding almost nothing of the world. We give little thought to the machinery that generates the sunlight that makes life possible, to the gravity that glues us to an Earth that would otherwise send us spinning off into space, or to the atoms of which we are made and on whose stability we fundamentally depend. Few of us spend much time wondering why nature is the way it is, where the cosmos came from, or whether it was always there. If time will one day flow backward, or whether there are ultimate limits to what humans can know. What is the smallest piece of matter? Why we remember the past and not the future? And why there is a universe.
Hello, I'm back. Here we go. Okay, so let's see. I'm playing around with this thing. We've got a demo here that shows kind of some buttons and stuff on it. I want to kind of throw a few things onto the scene and play around with how we do them. I know that we're not doing what they did here, so that's not applicable, but the design of what they did is. So we have a cylinder type. What are they doing? I'm just looking at the designs. And then they create these items here. Do the push buttons. So what are they doing with the cylinder? I'm just curious. I think the cylinder, just to double check this, I like knowing what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to remark out the different cylinder items just for the moment. I don't care if I created material or anything. Making sure I didn't leave anything lingering here. Push play. Okay, no. So I do not know what the cylinder was. Oh, is it when I... Oh, it's the hovers. Duh. Make push button. There we go. Hover color. Now we're talking. Okay, so that's the cylinder. It's changing the color. Get child meshes. Return node of cylinder. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay, so it's returning that. Then we're doing a new material, picking a color, setting the material, and we're giving it a hover color and a regular color. Pointer enter animation, pointer out animation, down and up. Okay, now just curious what that piece was. We may, we'll see what we can steal or use as an example. Okay, so that does that piece, and then this part, make push buttons. We have new push button. So let's see if we get some more. I just want to try. So that's the color, but where are we putting things? So if I go 1 to 2, less than 3, so less than 10, we should get 3 buttons. They're starting off to the left. They're not centered. Okay. Okay, block layout, true, it's false. I'm just glancing at this, trying to figure out exactly what they did here, but that's all fine because we have the actual piece here. What it does is, let's open up that one. I remember I backspace to that one. See, this particular one actually might be even cleaner view of just what I want because it's creating the buttons, but how do you know? What I'm having trouble understanding is it automatically just populating buttons and every time it finishes one it goes to another row, or is it, where am I defining the grid? I'm not really seeing where we're defining the grid itself. Okay, so this is a good example. I like that, but let me get back to here. There's something I'm missing. Face orientation, we got all that. Rows and columns. Here we go. Panel columns, panel rows. Now we're talking, if I wanted a 3 column number of rows, I think this is where we're heading. Okay, so container can be used to stack items either horizontally or vertically. That's kind of cool. Vertical's true. That's the way we're going here. Okay, I'm getting there. Just bear with me. Okay, so we grabbed the panel. We created it. We created a margin. I'm going to set, based on this, I'm going to say we're going to give it a panel columns. It says or. Panels can either be row or column first, depending on what property you use. Automatically compute the number of rows based on the child controls. Oh, so it doesn't sound like... Okay, there's some orientation things. There's a panel radius, which we can set, and a panel plane. I'm just debating if I want it to be trying to get two panels like this. I may just use two separate flat panels and say put your items here, because then I control the space in between them, and that's where I'm kind of heading with this. I think I don't have control. I don't think I have the control to make two columns and left justify one and right justify the other, per se. And I'm sure it probably does it. I'm just learning. But the possibility is I could do a flat panel and then just put one flat panel off to one side and one flat panel off to the other. That way we would have one column of buttons on one side, one column of buttons on the other, and anything else we add in there would automatically show up in those columns. That kind of gives us a little more control of what we put left and right side of where we're standing, and then I just rotate it based on my positioning to be in phase to my own object. Yeah, let's give that one a try. Okay, so let's go with this scatter plot. Let's see, basic plane. Let me open up one of the demos for this. I know it's given a plane this way, but what I want to do is, okay, so we're going to change the panel to plane panel. Plane panel, margin. I don't think margin is, I don't know. Maybe it's a distance between the items. That could be what the margin is. Kind of makes sense if it is. Okay, so margin is 0.2. That must be the distance between the items. I'm just wondering about this anchor thing. Transform node. I could possibly put the name of an item right there and it would transform to that node. We'll play around with that in a minute. But I think here it's all, because it's blank, it didn't make a difference if I used it or not. But the second I put a box or something in the scene, I think that's how we get it to transform around that node. It'll be positioned based on that node. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking we're going to be able to anchor it around my avatar. That's kind of where I'm going. Instead of parenting, I think it's this transform node. Okay, and then the position Z would be stay in front of me this distance from whatever position I'm talking about. So that makes sense in a lot of ways. Okay, that's adding buttons, which we're okay with. Okay, so back to where I was. We're going to go with this style. We're gonna do some anchor to something. Well, let's first see if we actually create it on the scene. Let's add a button. Oh, that's interesting. Panel children length. How funny. Button number, whatever. Okay, I see where that's going. We'll copy that. We're going to throw it into our code, and we're going to add 2 buttons just to do it. I'll call it button 1, button 2 for now. Bar button 2. There we go. Panel, add control. That'll give us 2 buttons on the panel, and I just want to see something pop up on the screen before we go too much farther. Worst case scenario, we can make 2 heads-up display, one on left and one on right, labeling HUD left, HUD right, respectively. Yeah, I think that's the best bet, because if I make a flat panel, single column, we can actually move it and turn it, and it doesn't even have to be single column, but if we could rotate it to the left or to the right and have 2 different ones. You're right. And then we can show one or the other. Like when you click on this is your first menu. When you click an item, then it shows you the sub-menu of whatever that one does. So maybe there's some of that kind of feel to it. But yeah, that would be actually really cool. So for now, we're going to throw 2 buttons into it. I just want to see it do it. And then, where did I just have that other code? The other thing I was looking at was in here. It did say about columns. So it's just columns. Let's throw that in our code. I want it to be right here. Columns, we're going to make it 1 column. Now the buttons should go downward. Yeah, let's see what we get. So take heads-up display, upload that, and load it, and we'll see what we got. We'll make it more global names afterwards so that we can call it from different objects and actually put things in or out of it dynamically from different plugins or whatever else somebody needs to add to one of the pieces. You know what? Since I'm working with this piece right now, there's no reason to load the whole scene every single time. I'm going to go to the admin page here where all it's loading is my avatar. There it is. Okay, and okay, I have a function. Let's see. Okay. That open HUD follow is not a function. Oh, I think I do repeat. I'm sorry. I think I do repeat this section here. I think the browse version is... Oh, yeah, I do load them separately. So when I loaded that script, it's only for the browsing version. I got to load it for the admin version too. Forgot I did it that way. The reason was there was a certain order they had to load, so I couldn't just put them all in here and then load just the admin stuff afterwards or whatever. And since they integrate so much, I decided to make it 2 separate scripts. And the other one is admin, WTW admin, and there's scripts right at the top. We're going to add it right after cameras, just like we did the other version. And so now we have heads-up display there. And I can go into functions and get our admin function here, upload. Okay, back to scripts. Prime. That'll do it. Left could be options, right could be players. Yeah, well, it just depends on whatever the option is, because whatever we're working with. I think left should drive main menu items or whatever, but then when you pick one, it can go to whatever we need it to be. For example, if I clicked on something, heads up display, and I click edit avatar, now I could get the different things I can edit on this side, and when I click on them, the right panel could be each one of the forms to fill out and change that particular item. So that's kind of the feel that I was thinking. Okay, so we'll get there. Yeah. Okay, so now open HUD. It said it, but where is my heads-up display? No, I'm not seeing it, but I didn't anchor it to anything, and I think that's my... Well, is it my flaw? I don't know. Let's go back to the code and see what exactly we're working with here. So we created a panel. we added a couple controls to it. Oh, do we need to add the controls before it goes to the manager? Let me double check that in, is it this scene? Add button, where does that happen? We added the panel to the manager, then we linked to transform mode to the anchor, which in this case was empty. Well, we're gonna go with their design until we decide to not. So I'm gonna put this here first. We'll play around with that anchor in a minute. And go to position 000. Yeah, that could be the case. It should be near where I'm at, but you're right. I think that probably is what we're dealing with. But if I take this and put that in here and link it to the anchor, and then if I make the anchor be I don't know what it's expecting there. Is it expecting a mesh name or is it expecting the object? Transform node. Or is it expecting a object of how to transform it? Don't know. I don't know. Okay. Might also be that every one of these examples go a little distance from you and puts the panel in front of you. Maybe it's coming up right on my current position. I don't know. It's probably coming up 000 like you said, because I haven't parented it or attached it to anything. So panel block layout, true. Index add button. Oh, I wrote add button function, but I never added the buttons. That would explain it. Oh, they just kept on repeating that same function. I'm not going to do that. Okay. All I need to do is not add the function, make it some inline code. All I'm doing is adding 2 buttons at the moment. So that should give me 2 buttons in place and a panel. I'm going to see it exist first and then we'll figure out where it goes next. Heads up display, upload, and view that and see what we get. Technically, when he comes into the scene, he should be at 0, 0 of the scene when you're not loading anything. So the default position should be 0, 0. So I really shouldn't have an issue with location unless it's like right on me or something. But I don't see anything coming up into my scene. Okay, there was a couple more pieces here. I want to see something work before I move on to another part of it here. Panel block layout, true, and then block layout false afterwards. There's a position here. Everything else looks normal. So we'll do the panel position. I'm going to do I'll add back in that panel block mode before it creates those things and then change it to false afterwards, just like they did. We'll see what that does afterwards. I don't understand it, but we can try it. And then here we do this. Okay, that should create the item. And it's adding it to the scene, so we're good on that piece of it. Yeah, we should be able to run that. See what happens. And here comes my avatar. Boom. And click. Says heads up display, but I'm not seeing one. Okay, the other thing I can do, developer tools, list loaded objects, list current meshes. let's see. See my avatar. Okay. Not seeing anything else as a mesh in the scene, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Why is it not creating? Everything but the return scene. I don't have to return scene. I'm refreshing the scene as we go, so that shouldn't be an issue. I could possibly need to scene render at the end of that. That's a possibility. It may need scene render, I think is the proper term. And that would force it to render at the end of that process, which should give me something in the scene, obviously. So let's find out if that is enough. Come on. You know, the other possibility, I know, we gotta do something about that heads-up display thing. There's something about it we can't even. Jeez. That first person is like unusable. I'm sorry. I wrote it and I can't use it. I like the movement of being attached to the avatar and their actual motion of their head and everything else. That's actually pretty cool. But what the camera needs is actually a dampener, so you don't get every jitter, but you get kind of a smooth motion. And I think the camera has that kind of dampener. So we'll have to play around with that and see if we can't get it to follow with the dampener in place. So that's going to be a whole nother day working on cameras on themselves. But I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. Okay, I'm not sure why we're not able to draw this, but what I'm going to do is this. I want to first take this out this way, because it didn't even give me an error, didn't do anything. It really didn't. It didn't do anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, oops, not that. I'm going to open this in here. We're going to go to the core. The core has the actual render cycle, which is not that. I recognize it so quick. I know, I'm saying that now. I'm going to pass by it 20 times, right? Connect in, molds, molds. I'm almost there. Load automations. Okay. Start render. So this is the render cycle right here. So scene render is being called on every frame. That's why I wasn't too worried about that step. But in this step, what we can do is I can put anything else we want in here. And for the moment, I just want to see something work and make sure that this whole GUI is loaded. Oh, I didn't even think about that part of it. But it did an error on it saying we don't have it available. Every quarter second, set the camera velocity to a low value, moving towards the current head position. Maybe cause a smoother look. That's true. That's very possible. That may do it. Yeah. But there was a couple things I had before this became a final release, so I have a feeling that it may have been corrected by now, but there was a couple problems, such as if I went to like first person and then I tried to go to, you know, one of these other camera views, then what was happening is they couldn't stay parented to what I was working on. Wait a minute. I see it. There's our view right there. It is in the scene. I found it. Okay, so that's 0, 0. That started the first one. And the second one is probably below ground. Huh? Oh, funny. I can't take control of my camera. I can be him and walk with it, but I can't take control of my camera right now. But that's the menu item. We did find it. Oh, funny, it won't release the camera. I broke some. Okay, wait, since we can see it now, there's something happening. Okay, I'm not going to do this other method, which I was going to dump the code in there and test it out and just see if I could throw it right in the render loop. Okay, so, yeah, of course, 0, 0, 0, 0. I expected that, but I don't know why I didn't see it in the scene before that. I guess I was turned on the wrong angle and couldn't spot it. But I knew I was starting on 0, 0, 0, so when I backed up from that position, I expected to see it. So now, yeah, now we have something. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. I'm just glad it's there. Because now that we have it, heads-up display, first thing I'm going to do is change the position Y equals 10 just for a second. I'm going to make it go higher up. That should get us back into the view. Let's take out that. Was the scene render part of it or not? That's running on every frame, so I really don't need to run it. I'm not going to keep it in there if I don't need it. Okay, so come back into here, upload that file, and refresh the page. Now it shouldn't be on the ground. We can resize things, and I can also parent them to the object. I want to play around with some of that stuff here in a second. First things first, if I back away from it, turn from an angle, first of all, click on it. Where is it? How funny. Well, I guess that scene render made a difference, huh? Because it wasn't this hard to see. Wait a minute, I said 5. It shouldn't be completely underground. I said 5 for the Y value. Okay, fine. Let's do the scene render again. I know, it is kind of strange. I didn't expect that, but let's see what happens. It showed up once, it's got to be able to show up again. So, first things first, my position initially should be 0, 0, 0. So I should be right on the position that it wants to come in. So if I back away from it, no, it should be right there. I'm clicking on it, and it's obviously rendering the scene. It's obviously rendering every cycle. It should be 5 position high, which should be about less than half my height. I mean, 5 is only about this high. But I don't see it anywhere. Click it again. Okay, let's take off the 5 and see what happens. Another thing to change, when you hover on your own avatar, you don't have a mouse hover pointer. Oh, okay. I may have turned that off before because I wasn't expecting you to select your own, and now I'm allowing it. So it should, but you know, maybe which camera the mouse pointers are hooked to. That's a possibility too. There's a couple things. I'll check that out. Oh, I said Y equals 10. That is a little bit higher. Let's start with this again. And the first thing I'm going to do when I make this work is I'm going to make it much bigger of a button so we can totally find it in the picture a little easier. Okay, so I want to make it where it's at least consistent, where I can click the button and the darn thing shows up, and we know where it is each time. That's the first step. Yeah, see. Here I am, and when I click it, heads up display, no. See, I'm starting on position 0, 0, 0, so there's nowhere to travel to make it work. Actually, it is doing the hover over. It is changing it to a mouse pointer. And it is running the heads-up display piece there. Why is it? Well, you know what? When all else fails, the next thing I can do is, there was some controls talking about how big of a button to make. I didn't do anything different on that one. Okay, there are... See, here we go. For example, that. So if I take that, I'm just trying things now. The first button will be most likely the button that we have some control over. So if I said buttons equals 3D button, mark that line out for the moment. That gives us a 3D button with this text on the button, and then we place the button on the panel. Font size, I want to see the darn thing. Font size 50, make me a button that's that big. Text. Here I am. Okay, so throw that in there and let's see what we get. Why am I not getting heads-up display? Come on, people. Save me from myself. Okay. First of all, I wouldn't expect it until I click the button because that's when I'm turning it on. But now when I click it, where is something here? Come on. I'm not seeing it. I'm not standing on it. I'm not walking around it. It's bigger and it should be on 0.0 on the ground. So, okay, the only other option I can do... I don't know why that's not working. I don't know why. We saw it once in one scene. I even remarked back to it and it disappeared and hasn't shown since. So, I don't know. I mean, I can click this many times as we want, but I'm still not seeing that happen in the scene. When I detach, oh, now I can detach. Okay, there it is. Jeez, a little pain in the butt. Okay, now the other thing I can check, which the reason I wanted to detach was, is there a second one underground? Yep, there it is. Here I am is underground. How funny. That didn't make it any bigger. It doesn't have a hover over it. There it goes. Oh, how funny, the hover is pink. Okay, well, we're getting something. I have a solution, but no computer. He's just sitting here. This is the way to torture a programmer. Yeah, I know. Give you an internet connection and a chat without a program where you can't code anything. That kind of, yeah, that's rough. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Okay, so we know that it's coming up below the ground on that particular point. So the first thing I'm going to do, and that's 0, 0, 0 right there. Okay. So, why did I not have like the ability to make this button huge? That's what I want to know. That's all fine. Graphic sets, text reads, font sizes, colors. I want a large button. Is it the grid size that we need to make larger to make that happen? You know, I could draw this just by creating squares on the screen and change your color and do all kinds of manipulations that way. Might be easier than using their grid. No, I'm not knocking the grid. I just haven't learned how to use it. It's me. It really is me this time. Okay. Well, the first thing I'm not even seeing a reference to on here is that the property to set it to a particular thing. Link to transform node. I want to find out what that is. Oops, don't want to put in my own code. Uh, 3D control, link to transform node. I want to first find out what it expects. It expects the node, but it's not telling me what the node is. 3D control, node. Defines the node to link to. Use null to unlink the control. But what would the node be? I'm not sure what the node is that I would be linking to. What is the node? Yeah, see? I feel like if you don't understand it, you're not gonna. That's the class's definitions from the API. This is how to. That's the page I'm on right now. That's just giving you the panel. Panel will move with henchman. App bar. What's app bar? I want to see what they did. Okay, so the app bar. What is the app bar? And that's another way to torture somebody. You put in a value there, but you didn't tell me where that comes in, what it is. Okay, let's try this again. It's just giving me more definitions of exactly what I already know. Now let's see if I find some examples. No, it didn't find an example. It just showed me the same page I'm looking at. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to learn on my own on that one. I got one idea I want to just try real quick in my head. So before I go on, even though I have a feeling this panel transfer node is going to be, or linked to transform node, I think that's going to be the piece that I need to make it follow me. In the meantime, I want to see what happens if I try something like panel.parent equals, oh, gotta get my character first. Actually, WTW my avatar. That should be the bottom square of my avatar. So if I start with that, maybe it'll do what I want it to, and I don't have to worry about transforming anything. Because once it's parented there, it's going to move with me. So I've already handled the movement if that happens. I don't have to worry about it. So let's see what happens. And then we can also rotate and everything else based on that parent, which would help a lot too. The only thing is if it loads up and it's inside where I'm standing, I'm never going to see it. The other possibility is I can go selfie camera. Nope, I don't see it in front of me. See, it's such a small piece. If it's... well, it should be on the ground. It should be right on the ground. Okay, here we go again. There it is. For some reason, I can see it when I go up there, but I can't see it otherwise. Now, that obviously is not parented to this avatar. Let me find it in the scene here. I can spin around and I don't see it. How funny is that? Wait a minute. That concept in mind, it's right behind me. I don't see it. That is just too weird. Is it the camera view? It's not in this camera view? Maybe it attached it to a camera. I mean, technically I should be standing on the dang thing about there. Yeah. See, it's right there, and I can do it here, but if I go to this view, it is not right there. Wow, that's kind of interesting, huh? Maybe that's the right question, finally. So Babylon. That's attaching a camera. No, that doesn't talk about panel. Control touch. They're attaching to main camera. I missed that part. Oh, I didn't even think about that being an issue. The main camera is this other camera. And then I have the follow camera designing off of it and everything else feeding off of it. But it should be... That's my problem. I'm not attaching that camera for controls. There's the command I'm missing. I know what it is. Right at the end of this, camera for pointers, scene active camera. This command right here may be the whole thing that I'm missing to get it to activate in the scene that I'm in. Because if it knows the active camera for pointers, then it... Well, see, it is the active camera. See, I don't see why it wouldn't be. Well, maybe I had to remind it. I don't know. But now I do know why it's not showing up when I see it is because it's adding it, and it's not adding it to the scene that I'm currently working. So like if I back up one step, click the button, it's not in the scene. Click this, and it's right there. Yeah. So that means it is reading. It's working for this camera only. That is a weird thing. Because when I go to this, it's not in this scene, obviously. Okay, well, I need to do some homework. I guess that one's going to come along when I figure it out, huh? What's the camera type for first person and free camera? Are they both unlimited camera? One's the universal camera, the free camera is, and the other one is the follow camera. So this one right here is the follow camera, but I'm running multiple cameras. I take the follow camera and I move it around. So like if you go from here and you go to like scene camera, all I'm doing is taking the follow camera and moving its position. Same thing if you go to selfie camera, I'm just changing the position and the orientation to yourself. So you're watching yourself move. Then when you go to first person, that's the first time you're actually seeing a different camera in the view. See, when I do it this way, I'm not... I mean, this one I parent it to the head, so it is doing something normal that way. But if I detach it, where's that? Where is it now? I don't even know where it is now. Looks like I lost it. Okay. Yeah, so... Oh, and see, now my orientation's off. That's why I was saying I need to work on the cameras. There's some issues with when I click around and do different things. there's a couple issues with the positioning in the cameras, and I have to clean up that whole section, which I will. So that's one of the things I have to do. But one thing we can say is we're not ready for a heads-up display just yet. That should have been, I should be able to orient that to something, and I'm not sure what yet. I need to check out, look for some more examples and see if I can't figure out where it is and what's doing it. Anybody have any experience in that area? Any of you watching? Just asking. You know, it's kind of cool. You're all here. Thank you. I appreciate you following and watching. And yeah, we're just trying to learn how to use a heads-up display and add it, because you see this menu we have across the bottom. First of all, not the admin menu. That's only when you're in admin mode. But when you just use the whole system, one of the things is we have this menu across the bottom, and I want to get rid of all these items and move them into a heads-up display for your actual avatar, so that you don't have it, you know, as a separate object and everything. So I think that would be a really cool feature, but I haven't quite learned how to use these different heads-up display. See, this is a GUI, and it's supposed to paint it right in front of your panel. Now, I've used panels before, and I've used GUIs, so I'm not sure why it's not showing up in that scene. I have other GUIs. In fact, one of the places I do have them is if you go to edit your own avatar and you do colors, the second you select on one, this is all popping up from the GUI. So I know that it works. I know you can tell it, you know, where to go and what to do. See, that stuff doesn't, you know, I'm sure that stuff all works. I don't even know what I'm changing color on. Probably gonna turn around, my face is gonna be pink. Here, I'll go a little louder. Yeah, I like the body. Give myself a little spray tan, right? Because nobody's getting out right now. No. Okay, just curious. But see, that's the GUID right there doing that. So I already have a GUID. Ooh, maybe that's my issue. Because I do have one. I already have a manager running. No, I don't run it till I call it. It wasn't running when I clicked it before. Yeah, I know. There's some stuff to learn there. Yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed I can't get it to run in my scene that I have here. But if I click this, it shows up as part of the... well, I know this parent thing didn't work. Can't parent it to myself that way. Which means this link to transform the anchor would be... What am I anchoring off of? Camera view. Well, if it is the camera, then I should be able to come up here to... I'm going to try this. Let's see. It's this camera follow. This is the camera that is the one I'm looking through. Okay, so what's the camera type for this? First person and free camera. Okay, got through those. Could you do some admin command work on stream, like secondary free cam? Well, I do have the secondary free cam and stuff, but that's, I think, well, yeah, not positive yet. Let me try this first. If I take this anchor, transfer node, and I take and put the follow camera in there, and then I transform based on the follow camera. Now, I don't have to worry about set active cameras because that's already being set. Thought it was. I just wanted to see if that had any effect. By doing that, it's either going to give me an error, say, hey, that's not a node. Plus, why didn't it say camera instead of node? See, that doesn't make sense to me. I think it's not going to be considered, I don't know. Maybe it is the node. I don't know. Let me find out. So we click this, it says it opens the heads-up display, and it clearly didn't. If I click this, where is it? Man, I'm not seeing it anywhere right now. Is it below me? Nope. Oh, it is right in front of me. So it didn't transform, it didn't do anything. It's still right there. And when I move, It's going to stay right there, I bet. I bet it didn't even move. Yeah, see, it's still that same distance in front of me. I mean, it changed distance in front of me, which means it's stuck to the 0, 0 point, not me. That's not doing it. Okay, so that didn't do it. Let's see what else we can do here. Parent, let me call this the right thing. GUI, 3D GUI? 3D GUI to camera, for example. There's nothing in this category. So, camera. Somebody took that? Oh. Use the Babylon 3D GUI. And we're right back on the page I started on, I think. Yep, we are. Okay. Okay, well, it looks like I'm going to have to do some more studying and figure this one out. We're a ways from getting it working. I know it works in the demos, so it has it in there and it's able to control it. I'm just not sure. I'm gonna have to do some more reading and check out some more examples and see if I can figure out what. Maybe it's a setting in my code or something that's interfering with it. Maybe it's the way we're adding things. Stack panel 3D. Yeah, I don't know. But we've got some examples here. We have some scaling. Well, just to check it. I gotta check this one at least. Panel scaling equals new Babylon. Vector 3, I think is how it goes. Let's go 3, 3, 3. That should be 3 times its size if I did that part right. Let me see if I did it right. I know I did them in here a bunch of times. New Babylon viewport, new position, viewport. Come on, they're all viewports. I use that command like a million times and now I can't think of how it's spelled out. It's all viewport. Let me guess the one time I want to find it. I'm not seeing it. Vector 3. Babylon. Oh, capital V. That would do it. I was wondering why it didn't auto type. Vector 3. Now we got it. Okay, so try that. This should be 3 times its size. At least we'll get it bigger. Then we'll know when we got something going on, right? Okay, so click on him, open hood, switch cameras, and does it look bigger? Yes, it's bigger. Okay, well that's a start. It's a bigger button. Okay, so we know we can scale it. We know we can rotate it. So far I can't parent it. Maybe I'm parenting the wrong item. I tried parenting the panel. But see, that would be because it's one manager and then multiple panels. I would have to parent the panel if I'm going to parent anything. Let's find out if it has a parent function on it. Okay. Position, row scaling, type, orientation, no. Children. No, it doesn't have a parent. Oh wait, there it is. Properties, parent. 3D control, parent. Gets or sets the parent container. Container. So, if it's the parent container, then the manager, can I parent the manager? See, that's why they're doing this transform node thing. Yes. That would be why they're transforming node from node. It's definitely not a camera. Okay. I haven't tried parenting the manager, but I don't think the manager parents. I could try. So, take manager parent equals my avatar should be the bottom box of my avatar. That's the actual object. So if it works, that would be how it would work to get it connected to my own avatar. Okay, take this. I know, I feel like I'm running up against a wall about 3 or 4 times. Haven't done these heads-up displays, and now that I'm trying one, when I click it here, it runs my code, but it's not putting the heads-up display in this camera view. But if I switch camera views, it's there. So I don't necessarily get why that's happening. But of course, this is when I can move my avatar. I turn that back off, and notice it's farther away. It's not parented to me, because otherwise it would have moved with me. So that's not working. It's not setting the position. Well, I got to look around, because maybe I'll find an example of somebody that actually did the parented view and were able to pull off the heads-up display around a character or something. I got to look for more examples of actual usage of it, not just, hey, you can in the playground create a heads-up display and you can move it around. Well, that's all great, but if I can't put it in my scene and add it for whatever reason, see, and they just did 3D Manager, pane, this, and this stuff. But what they didn't do was add a box and try to parent it to it. They didn't do anything like that. Yeah. The other possibility is that the grid contains the objects. I was wondering if there's some parenting with the buttons within the grid need to be parented so that they move with the parent of the parent of the parent, kind of a rotation thing through it. I don't know. Well, I seem to hit a square wall here, and literally. And the fact that it doesn't show when I'm actually viewing my avatar, but it only shows when it's not in that section, already we've got an issue with it, and that's not going to work for us just yet. So I will need to either design my own heads-up display, which is totally possible, or I need to figure out this one of how to attach it to things to make it useful to us. I'd like to use their version of it, of course, because then we get all the enhancements as they update things. If I write it from scratch, then, we have our own, and I have full control over it, but I'm not really interested in going off that path if they've already got one. So, okay, well, looks like I need to do some homework, need to do some studying, and, see what I come up with. But that's the concept. We played around with some things. We got some chat stuff to work with multiplayer today. We were able to add in a in-process thing so that we can click on it and decide what we want to do when we click on an avatar instead of always being the chat. So we've interrupted that process with another piece. And we started filling out this idea for the heads-up display. I'll do some more studying, and you'll see me again real soon, and we'll figure this one out. But thanks for watching, thanks for following, thanks for coming along with the ride, and we'll just keep building, and we'll make our communities and keep building everything we can. Adding in all kinds of extra features and functions and people, and we'll get all kinds of things in here, and we'll have some fun with this. So thanks for watching, thanks for joining me, and we'll just keep building. We'll keep adding to it. We're creating a game environment that you can use like WordPress and be able to create all kinds of things, drag and drop them right into scenes, download your 3D objects from anywhere, especially a lot of those free objects you can find on the internet. Drop them right into scenes and use them in your game scenes. We're obviously doing multiplayer so that you can totally see when somebody else is walking around in a scene. Like I said, we were able to connect with them and say, hey, I want to do a private chat, and you can type back and forth. So we have a number of cool things in place. So we're making progress. We keep on adding functionality, and we keep on adding servers and building up the environment. So there's a lot of cool stuff. Things load as you walk towards them and unload as you walk away. So we're able to make some pretty good sized scenes, theoretically, and we'll keep on fine-tuning that process. But thanks for watching, and thanks for joining, and welcome to WalkTheWeb. If you'd like to play around on the scene, you can go to 3d.http3d.net. It's kind of our little playground right now of checking things out and trying them in the scenes. We're in the middle of writing a global login, so any WalkTheWeb website you go to, anywhere on any server, you'll be able to use your same login instead of having to recreate them for every website you go to. The other part that we're working on is you can download the code and you can actually run this on your own server. Open source, check the links below and you can see the open source links. And that's it. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching today, and I really appreciate it. And I will see you again real soon. Have a great day, and thanks for following.